Alright guys, so I recorded this video and then decided it's probably just more of a demonstration for people that want to start DIYing, maybe change their brakes to save some money, or if they have, like in this video, I'm changing the control arm on a 2008 Chevy Tahoe, which it'll be the same on Silverado and Suburban and Yukons and Sierras and stuff. So more or less this video's a kind of helping out some people that may want to save some money and do the project on their own. So it's not a more of a fun video. It's just kind of a DIY video, but we'll get into picking up the vehicle and everything and changing the brakes and the control arm. Well guys, today I got it hooked up to the gooseneck, and on my way home I'm going to pick up my mom's Tahoe and bring it back here to work on. So after work I'll go and grab that. There guys, so I got my mom's Tahoe loaded up and time to head home. Got a control arm to do and brake pads and a sway bar link. So we'll get it home and get started on it. Alright guys, got it home. Got the trailer unhooked. Got some jack stands under it to stabilize it since I only have a center jack. Got the floor jack there. Got my jack stand. So it's hard to see till I get the tire off. Gotta replace the upper control arm here, which is right here. The bushings are shot, which I'll show you once I get it jacked up. Get the tire off, which will be a lot easier to see. So the bushings are shot. This thing's been sitting for probably 3 months now, till I had a truck to haul this down here, because let it sit for 3 months or send it to a shop. Apparently let it sit for 3 months is a better idea. But I'll get it jacked up, get the tire off, and I'll show you why it needs replaced. I got new bolts and everything for it. Got a new upper control arm. Gonna have to do the brake pads all the way around. I think new sway bar link on this side. I don't remember if it's this side or the other side, but it needs a new sway bar. But I'll get it jacked up, get the tire off. Alright guys, so like the first time I grabbed a hold of the wheel of this car, I thought the wheel bearing was shot. And then I started looking at it a little more. I'm like, that's a lot of play, and it's only seeming to move on one side. And I looked a little closer, and I don't know if I can get it on video, but you can see this upper slide here moving. The bushing in this upper control arm's shot. So hopefully these bolts come out real easy, which they probably won't. They never do. For some reason, they rust in there. But in where I live, salt and everything takes on, which is why anti-seize the crap out of everything. Oh yeah, and it is this side. It has the bad sway bar link. But yeah, I got new bolts for this side because I figured I'm about to cut them. Put it back together. But start tearing it apart. Alright guys, so ball joint there is separated. Have the rotor set on, well, kind of set on the jack stand. Soak that all down with penetrating oil on both sides. Gonna let it sit a little bit, and then I'm gonna break them bolts loose and hope they come out. Alright guys, so finally found a day that it wasn't raining and I could continue working on this. I got the bolts out of both sides here. I have to unbolt this bracket here, which holds this sensor, I believe it is, for the stability control, which doesn't work anyways anymore because this thing has like 200,000 miles. The shocks have never been replaced on it and everything. The rear ones are blown out. You can see these front ones look like crap. They're never going to get replaced. She keeps saying that she's going to buy a new one. Has never done it yet. But I did find out when I was taking the rear bolt out that this little camber alignment nub that the groove goes into is missing. I'm guessing it's from control arm sliding back and forth in there, so I'm hoping one of the local auto parts has the Moog kit that I found online. If not, I'll have to order it before I put it back together. So I'm gonna get that bracket off there and get the control arm pulled out. Alright guys, so I gotta wait on them pins. They'll be in tomorrow. The local auto parts are in like $4 or whatever. So I'm gonna change the sway bar link. I don't think the bushings are actually bad, but I don't think it'll tighten up, and I'm not screwing with it for as cheap as they are. I could probably get it freed up with some oil and some heat, but they're pretty cheap. Just putting a new one on. I figure change that, maybe change the brakes while I'm waiting on them to come in. Might have to find my other jack stands. I think they're buried in the shed with underneath all my truck parts and wife's truck parts. So I'm gonna start doing that. Well, it was giving me a rough time. Did not want to come apart. I'd say it came apart now. And I'm pretty sure that's why I decided to replace it before. I think it's been like that for almost a year now. But it came apart that time. Clean it up a little bit up here and put the new one in. Alright guys, new sway bar links in there. They're a lot easier to do when you don't have, weight sitting on the control arm right underneath there. It's a lot easier if you got the, weight sitting on the actual frame itself. You can let the control arm drop down, which not a big deal. I just use my nice bent pry bar and pried up on it and got it in. Might tackle these brakes front and rear. Rotors they just have surface rust from it raining in the past couple days. There's a little bit of a lip on them, but nothing too terrible. I just put them on last year. I think I did front 2 wheel bearings last year also on it, because it eats wheel bearings. But, might start pulling these calipers off, changing them brakes. I believe it's 21 on top and bottom. Pull that caliper off. Alright guys, so some people know this, some people don't. But there's these holes top of the caliper, which I like to compress the caliper before I take it off. Some people don't. I just usually either take a pry bar in there, and I don't know if you can see in there, there's the vent holes on top of the rotor. Stick a pry bar in there and pry against the caliper to compress it, which pushes the 2 pistons in, so that whenever you go to put the new pads in, it'll slide back over it, no problem. Or if you're just taking it off to change the rotor, or just taking it off to work on something else, it's not a hassle. Some people like just to take them off, compress them with C-clamps, or use the brake caliper compressing tool. Whatever you like to do. You can either use pry bar, or you know, the way you're not supposed to do it and use a screwdriver, whatever you have. Some calipers you cannot do this with because they don't have the holes in the top, or you have to have the special tool to spin them in. But that's just one thing I like to do before I even tear them apart, is compress them, because I find it a lot easier. Alright, so I got the pads out here, which the inside one is well worn. Well, the outside one has a lot of life left on it, so the slide pins probably need greased, because that caliper is probably a year old, maybe 2 years old, because I've replaced calipers on this thing multiple times within the past couple years. For some reason it keeps eating calipers too, and I don't know if it's the local auto parts, maybe they're getting crappy calipers or what it is, but so I'll probably take slide pins apart, grease them, because they're not too hard. They just slide out the back. You can get that brake grease, put it on it, slide them back in. I think I have some down below, but just gotta make sure you put the brake pads back where they go. If you've never changed pads before, it's not that hard. Look for the squealer if they have them. Some pads are identical all the way around on the front, but yep, maybe I'm gonna get it greased up and get the pads back in it, get it back together. Alright guys, new brake pads are in on the driver's side. I'm gonna go repeat the process on the passenger side, get it jacked up, get the tire off, change them on the passenger side, and that'll probably be it for tonight until I get the parts for the control arm, get the control arm back on, get the front back on the under its own weight, because I don't want to pull the back end apart with this sitting on the jack stands. So I'll get the brakes changed over there on the passenger side and start wrapping up for tonight. Alright guys, I got the new pin in there. Couldn't get that set out, so I just left it in there. I actually started to slightly bend it, trying to get it out, so I figure she's planning on only keeping it for another year, so it should be fine. This vehicle's getting pretty rough. I actually bent this piece putting this one in, so I bent it back. I bent it actually I started it with pliers and I actually bent it with pliers. I tapped it in the rest of the way with a punch and hammer. But I'm gonna get the control arm, get it put in, and see how far I get before it decides to rain or hail or snow, whatever it's gonna decide to do again, because it's been doing that a lot today. Alright guys, control arm's bolted in, new bolts both sides. There's that new sway bar link from last night, new brake pads, new grease fitting. I gotta throw grease in there yet. I did tighten these up, both sides. Obviously tighten the control arm, ball joint down. I'm gonna throw a tire on here and then get it under its own weight, see if it's leaning out at the top or kicked in any way at the top. And then I'm going to, if it is or anything, I'll adjust these top slides here, these cams, till this thing goes for an alignment. It's not going to be accurate, but it'll be close, so that it's not eating the tires. I mean, it should be going here in a week or so, but it won't be perfect, but it'll be better than running around with the tire kicked out the top or in at the top and eating the tire up. But it's together. Like I said, just gotta throw grease in it and I'll throw a tire on it. Alright guys, got it on the ground, got it adjusted to where it looks fairly straight. Like I said, it won't be perfect. It's the alignment machine's for. I'm leaving the center caps off on both sides for now because I gotta come around and torque them. I figure once I do the rear brakes, then I'll come around and torque all the wheels. So I'm gonna start doing the rear brakes now. Alright guys, so I got the back end all jacked up. Got the tire off of it. Now I'd said about the calipers that they don't have the slots in, and you cannot compress them before you take them off. I mean, you can sometimes get into them here and pry on them, but there's no holes in the backside. A lot of times you just pop them off, stick one of the old pads in there with a C-clamp, you can compress them, or they do sell the caliper compressing tools and just compress them that way. But I might stick my pry bar in on there and press it down if I can get it in there. I have to get the smaller one because I don't think this one's gonna do it. And that's gonna catch every time. And that right there. Now I got a decent gap there. And I have some wiggle room, so when I take it off and put it back on, it will have some room. I'll slide over the new pads and everything. I'm gonna get that off, put the new pads in, put it back together. Alright guys, got the new pads in there. They look like they wore pretty evenly. Might be a groove on the inside of that rotor, which actually you can, I don't know if you see it on the video, but there is a groove down towards the inside of that rotor, which these rotors are probably a year old. They don't make good quality anymore. Like I said, she's only keeping this thing for another year, so I'm not going to change them. Spend probably $125 on another set of rotors, but she needs pads to get through inspection, so I'm putting pads on it. But usually you would change this rotor for as bad as it is. But I'll get the wheel thrown back on and go to the other side and get it changed. Okay guys, since I've just been saying about it, using a C-clamp to compress it, you just take the old brake pad, stick it in the caliper how it usually would sit, take your C-clamp, make sure you're not pushing against anything valuable on the back side, and just push the caliper back in with a C-clamp. And then when you're putting your new brake pads in, this kit doesn't come with new anti-rattle clips. Sometimes you got to take these out, clean inside the bracket here so that you can fit the new pads in. See, this is the outside one. Sometimes they will not slide back into place because all the rust built up, which that one slid back in place. We'll see what the back one will go into. Pops right into. But yeah, sometimes you gotta clean in here, get some emery cloth or file or something, clean that bracket up. Which these calipers are maybe a year or two old. I've replaced just about every single one of them on here, but cheap metal and the salt around here just eats everything up. But I'm gonna get it put back together, get the wheel back on it, get everything torqued back down. Alright guys, got the wheels all torqued down. One very important thing you don't want to forget is to make sure you push down with your foot, obviously, on the brake pedal a few times so it's firm. Because if not, when you get a first push on your brakes, you won't have any, or they'll be pretty soft since the calipers are all compressed. It'll scare you real quick. I've done it a few times, especially if you have it on like a drive-on rack or something, or in my case on the gooseneck trailer. You'll notice it real quick. But I'm gonna get it chained down and take it back to my mom's house. Alright guys, dropped Tahoe off. It's back home safe from my mom. She'll have to go get it inspected and aligned and back on the road. But like I said, the video was more or less just showing how to change brakes in the control arm if you want to save money and change them yourself, which you can do with basic hand tools, and if you have floor jack and jack stands, torque wrench. Next video I'm hoping will either be the wife's new truck, which is I'm calling Raptor Swap 2.0. Probably just showing the truck and maybe pulling some parts off, powder coating them. Hoping to tear her old light bar apart and powder coat it. Gonna see how difficult it is before I tackle the ones for my headache rack. It'll either be that or a couple things on my pickup, like the EGR delete I still have to do, and I have my running lights for my mirrors. It'll be one of those videos I just, whatever I get time to do first, and whatever the weather permits me to do first. But stay tuned.